Once upon a time, in a small village in Nigeria, there lived a young boy named Obi. Obi was a slave, but he was very hardworking and had a kind heart. He worked for his master, Chief Amaechi, from morning to night. He fetched water, cleaned the house, and took care of the animals. Everyone in the village liked Obi because he always had a smile on his face. Even though he was a slave, he was always ready to help anyone in need. If someone was sick, Obi would bring them food. If someone needed help with their farm, Obi would work there after his chores were done. One day, a big storm came to the village. The wind blew hard, and the rain poured down heavily. Many houses were damaged, and the crops were destroyed. People were sad and worried because they did not have enough food to eat. Obi did not think about his own troubles. He went from house to house, helping to fix the roofs and clean up the mess. He shared his own food with those who had nothing. His master, Chief Amaechi, saw how kind and hardworking Obi was and felt proud of him. As days passed, the villagers began to rebuild their homes and replant their crops. Obi continued to work hard and help everyone. One day, the village elders called a meeting. They wanted to thank Obi for his big heart and all the help he had given. The oldest elder, Baba Ife, stood up and said, "Obi, you are a good boy with a good heart. You have helped us all. Even though you are just a slave, we want to honor you for your kindness and hard work." The villagers clapped and cheered for Obi. Chief Amaechi smiled and nodded. He stood up and said, "From today, Obi will no longer be a slave. He will be a free man and a respected member of our community." Obi was very happy and thanked everyone. He continued to work hard and help others, but now he did it as a free man. The villagers loved him even more and respected him for his humility and kindness. As time went on, Obi's good deeds spread to other villages. People came to see the young man who had such a big heart. They brought gifts and asked for his advice. Obi's name became known far and wide, and he was loved by all. One day, a stranger came to the village with a special request. This stranger was an old man with a long white beard and kind eyes. He wore simple clothes and carried a heavy sack on his back. The villagers gathered around, curious to see who he was and what he wanted. The old man approached Obi and said, "I have traveled many days to find you. I have heard of your kindness and your humble heart. I need your help." Obi smiled and replied, "What can I do for you, sir? I am always ready to help." The old man sighed and said, "I come from a village far away. Our crops have failed and our people are hungry. We need someone to show us how to grow food and take care of our land. Will you come with me and teach us?" Obi thought for a moment. He loved his village and the people there, but he knew that helping others was important. He turned to the villagers and said, "My friends, you have been like family to me. I will miss you, but I must go and help those in need." Chief Amaechi stepped forward and said, "Obi, you have our blessings. Go and spread your kindness to others. We will always be here for you." The villagers cheered and wished Obi well on his journey. They gave him food and supplies for his trip. With a heavy heart but a determined spirit, Obi set off with the old man. After many days of walking, they finally reached the old man's village. It was a sad sight. The fields were dry and the people were thin and weak. Obi rolled up his sleeves and got to work right away. He showed the villagers how to plant seeds, water the crops, and take care of the soil. He taught them how to build strong houses and dig wells for clean water. The villagers worked hard, following Obi's instructions. Slowly but surely, the land began to change. The crops started to grow and the fields turned green. The people became healthier and happier. They were so grateful to Obi and called him their savior. Obi stayed in the village for many months, making sure everything was going well. He became a beloved member of their community, just as he had been in his own village. But Obi's journey was not yet over. One day, as he was teaching children how to plant a tree, a messenger arrived. The messenger brought news that a terrible sickness had spread in another village far away. Many people were sick and they needed help desperately. Obi knew he had to go. He turned to the old man and the villagers and said, "I must go and help those who are sick. You have learned well and can take care of your land now. I trust you will continue to help each other." The villagers were sad to see him go, but they understood. They gave him food and supplies for his journey and wished him safe travels. Obi hugged them all and set off once more. The journey was long and difficult. Obi walked through forests, crossed rivers, and climbed mountains. He was tired, but he did not give up. He knew that people needed his help, and that gave him strength. Finally, he reached the village. It was even worse than he had imagined. People were lying on the ground, too weak to move. The air was filled with cries of pain and sorrow. Obi went straight to work. He visited each house, bringing water and food. He made herbal medicines from plants he found in the forest and gave them to the sick. Slowly, the people started to get better. Obi stayed with them, taking care of everyone until they were strong again. The villagers were very grateful to Obi. They called him a hero and held a big feast in his honor. But Obi did not seek praise or rewards. He just smiled and said, "I am happy to help. Seeing you all healthy and happy is the best reward I could ever receive." After the feast, Obi sat down to rest. As he closed his eyes, he thought about all the villages he had helped and all the people he had met. He knew there would always be more work to do and more people to help. But for now, he was content. Just then, a young boy ran up to him with a worried look on his face. "Obi," the boy said, "a wise woman in the next village needs your help. She says there is a great danger coming and only you can help us prepare." Obi stood up, ready to face the next challenge. He knew that as long as he had a good heart and worked hard, he could make a difference wherever he went. And so with a determined spirit and a humble heart, Obi set off once again to help those in need. The young boy led Obi to the next village. When they arrived, they found the villagers gathered around a small hut. Inside the hut was an elderly woman with wise, gentle eyes. She was known as Mama Nkem, the village healer and seer. Mama Nkem looked at Obi and said, "I have seen a vision of a great danger coming to our land. A fierce drought is on its way, and it will dry up our rivers and wither our crops. We must prepare or many will suffer." Obi nodded and said, "Tell me what we need to do, Mama Nkem. I will do everything I can to help." Mama Nkem smiled and said, "We need to dig new wells, store water, and plant drought-resistant crops. We must also teach the people how to use less water and take care of the soil." Obi quickly gathered the villagers and explained the plan. They all agreed to work together. With Obi leading them, they started digging new wells and building large storage tanks to collect rainwater. They planted special crops that could survive with little water and taught everyone how to conserve what they had. Days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. The villagers worked hard following Obi's guidance. When the drought finally came, they were ready. The wells provided enough water for everyone, and the crops grew strong even in the dry conditions. The villagers were safe and had enough to eat. Obi had once again helped a village in need. The people were grateful and celebrated with songs and dances. They called Obi their savior and gave him gifts of food and handmade clothes. But Obi remained humble, thanking them and saying, "I am just happy to see you all safe and well." One evening, as the sun was setting and the village was quiet, Mama Nkem called Obi to her hut. She said, "Obi, you have done so much good in this world. Your heart is pure and your spirit is strong. But there is one more task you must undertake." Obi listened carefully as Mama Nkem continued. "In a distant land, there is a powerful king who is very sad. His only daughter has fallen into a deep sleep, and no one can wake her. Many have tried, but all have failed. I believe that you, with your kindness and courage, can help her." Obi knew he had to go. He thanked Mama Nkem for her wisdom and set off on his journey. The road was long and filled with challenges, but Obi did not waver. He crossed deserts, climbed high mountains, and sailed across wide rivers. Finally, he reached the kingdom where the sad king lived. The castle was grand, but there was a heaviness in the air. The people were quiet and sorrowful. Obi went straight to the king and said, "Your Majesty, I have come to help your daughter." The king looked at Obi with hope in his eyes and said, "Many have tried and failed, but something tells me you are different. Please do whatever you can." Obi was led to the princess's room. She lay on a bed of silk, her face peaceful but her eyes closed in a deep sleep. Obi sat beside her and held her hand. He closed his eyes and thought about all the love and kindness he had shared with others. He whispered gently to her, "Wake up, dear princess. The world is waiting for you." To everyone's amazement, the princess's eyes fluttered open. She looked at Obi and smiled. The king and all the people rejoiced, praising Obi for his miraculous deed. The king said, "You have brought joy back to my kingdom. Ask for anything, and it shall be yours." But Obi, ever humble, replied, "I ask for nothing, your majesty. I am just happy to see your daughter awake and your kingdom filled with joy." The king insisted, "At least stay with us for a while. We can learn much from your wisdom and kindness." And so Obi stayed, sharing his knowledge and helping the people. He became a beloved figure in the kingdom, respected and adored by all. But Obi knew that his journey was far from over. There would always be more people to help, more villages in need, and more hearts to heal. One day, as he was teaching children how to plant a garden, a messenger arrived with news of a distant land that needed his help. Thanks for listening.